I'm going to be telling AI to make a viral video game. Everything that goes into a game, the idea, planning, modeling, programming, rigging, animation, sound effects, music, all of it is going to be generated and conceptualized by AI, with me interfering as little as possible. Basically, I'm going to be acting like a medium between all of these AIs and a game engine. This could get weird. So I got started with ChatGPT. I asked it for a viral game idea, and it gave me 5. I asked it to pick its favorite, and this is what it went with. Panic at the Playground, a sandbox game where you're a mischievous kid terrorizing other kids. So then I asked ChatGPT to help me make Panic at the Playground using only AI tools, and it laid out a rough plan for me. Following ChatGPT's lead, I got to work on generating some 3D models. I found out about this service called Meshy, which has a free text to 3D model tool. I first tested it out with some props that ChatGPT suggested we'll have to make, and Meshy did indeed produce a slide and a merry-go-round, kind of, which is pretty sweet. But before I went further with all that stuff, I figured we should try out a character. After asking ChatGPT for some guidance, I asked Meshy to generate a 3D model of a cartoon kid with huge beefy arms that is capable of beating up the entire playground, which only turned out mildly cursed. So I asked Meshy to texture it, which it also does for free. I like this one. Look at the smug look on this kid's face. He's got those sociopath eyes for sure. It didn't give the kid a shirt though, which was a bit weird, so I did do a little bit of prompt intervention here to give him a beater. Meshy is also capable of rigging and animating the model, so I gave that a try, and the results were beautiful. Look at the confident strut on this guy. But when I went to download my flawlessly animated character model, it turned out that you had to pay to download animated models. And I really don't want to give any of these AI companies money, so I needed a workaround. Luckily, there's another site called Anything World that also has a tool for 3D model generation, as well as one just for animating. This one's mostly a paid service, but they give you enough free credits that we can at least animate a model. Although I did want to compare the generation capabilities to Meshy, so I gave it the same prompt and oh my god! No! What is this thing doing? I specified that it should be wearing clothes, and the result was alright. It is a little concerning to me how all of the models from Meshy seem to be of one particular art style, and the ones from Anything World are of another distinct art style. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Anyway, I don't want to make the call myself here, so I sent the pics to ChatGPT and asked it to make the call. It seemed to understand that the first design was more childlike than the second one, which was pretty impressive to me, and it picked that one as its favorite. I asked ChatGPT to name it, and it came up with Mischief Mike. So I figured I'd move on and animate Mischief Mike. I uploaded the character to Anything World. It actually asked me if I would let them use my AI slop that I was uploading to it to train more AI slop, which I have absolutely no problem with. Then I went about the rigging and animating process, and this also turned out pretty hilarious. I'm so tempted to bring this model into Blender and fix it so it'll animate better, but I don't think that'd be in the spirit of what I'm doing here, and this is much more fun anyway. After selecting some animations, Anything World gave me a zip full of all of them. I asked ChatGPT how to proceed, and it told me how to set up a Unity project. The model imported just fine, although he was massive because Meshy wouldn't let me scale down the Mischief Mike model without paying. I went to ChatGPT and acted like I had no idea how to solve this problem. And it actually walked me through how to change the import settings to get the kid to an appropriate scale. Next, I went into play mode and asked ChatGPT why Mischief Mike isn't playing any animations, and it pretty competently started helping me solve this and get him moving. It made the animation loop too. Now, let's see if we can get this kid running around, since that's the next step that ChatGPT specified. It told me to add a character controller component, and it wrote a movement script for me. And amazingly, without any intervention from myself, I was able to control Mischief Mike. When it was time to add walking animations to the character, ChatGPT did pretty well, but it couldn't tell me how to solve a problem with the animations not transitioning at the right time. It was frustrating because the solution was just this checkbox. And when I gave ChatGPT a major hint, it did catch on and fix the problem. After adding a running animation and a camera follow script, ChatGPT wanted to move on to generating props for the environment, and gave me a list of things to make with prompts for each. So I put each of those prompts into Meshy, imported those models into Unity, and here's what I got. I don't know whether to credit this to ChatGPT's prompts or just Meshy being Meshy, but when you look at all of these different objects, they're surprisingly cohesive. There's a stylistic consistency between like the bench and the fence and all of the playground equipment. It's weird. Then I needed something to represent the ground. A tiling grass texture is simple enough. But ChatGPT couldn't seem to do this. It kept generating it on a sphere like it's a material preview. I found this site called OpenArt.ai, and it generated one just fine. While it doesn't tile perfectly, it's far from the most wonky looking thing that's been generated for this game so far. Next, I wanted to know how to place these objects, so I asked ChatGPT to come up with a level layout. I asked it to do this a few times, but the only consistent thing it was really doing was placing the jungle gym as the central component of the map. All of the other suggestions that it made seemed to be at random, and it couldn't really make sense of where to put things or have much motivation for where things should go. And when I asked it to generate an image of the map it was picturing, it made even less sense. Is this not the most generative AI thing you've ever seen? After a few iterations, I just called it quits here and moved on to getting some NPCs into the game. I asked Meshy for a nerdy looking kid model, and it pulled through. I rigged it again with Anything World, and it worked about as well as the other model did. Why its knees are in its shoulders, I have no idea. After bringing Nerd Kid into Unity, ChatGPT was impressively able to write a navigation system for it. Unity 6 actually changed how the AI nav mesh system works, so it wasn't able to walk me through exactly how to set everything up in the editor, but given how recent that change is, it's understandable ChatGPT didn't know about it. Now I can place as many nerds as I want, or rather, as many as ChatGPT wants, and they all wander around the map. ChatGPT said that we should implement punching next, so that's what we technically did. It's hilariously buggy right now, which, to be honest, is normal in game development at first. It's an iterative process. However, where a human game dev can jump right in and figure out how to improve things, ChatGPT can't really interface with the game engine's editor, or the entire codebase at once. That means I have to spoon feed every issue to it. And while the AI is great with writing self-contained chunks of simple logic, once we started getting involved with multiple scripts that interact with each other, ChatGPT tends to forget how things are interconnected and just starts writing nonsense. So at this point, I just didn't mention to ChatGPT how buggy the game was, and we moved on to adding sound effects. I asked it to make some prompts for sound effects and plug those into ElevenAudio's sound effect generating AI. A lot of what I got out of this tool was either disturbing or hilarious, or some combination of the two. For the punch prompt, I think it interpreted the slight whoosh as a fart. And any prompt that involved kids laughing or playing was just creepy. And when I asked it to do any kind of music, it was obvious that's not what this tool is for. Jesus, that was random. I asked ChatGPT for a background music prompt and threw that into another AI called Suno, which is just for making music. This one does its job alarmingly well. It made this song called Playground Groovin', which is now our background music. ChatGPT also suggested making a game over menu song, which Suno decided to make really depressing sounding. Then it was time to start implementing those sounds in the game, which was no problem for ChatGPT. Let's see how this punching sounds. It sounds shippable. Next, we added the creepy playground ambience and the background music. ElevenLabs also has a tool for generating voices, so I thought it would be funny to get ChatGPT to come up with some lines that Mischief Mike and the nerds randomly say as you're running after them. And it really did deliver here.
I'm the king of this playground. Man, this place is just begging for chaos. Run all you want, nerd, I've got time.
Gosh, I hope my glasses don't break again. Initiating evasive maneuvers. I'm allergic to fists.
There were no kid voices to pick from, but bumping up the pitch in Unity made it close enough. Then I got ChatGPT to start wrapping up the gameplay loop by asking it to make a score counter and a timer, as well as a way to restart the game, which it did with no problem. I also asked it to generate a Panic at the Playground logo and a game over graphic, both of which are not great. But hey, apparently AI can write words now, so I was impressed by that. And now this AI masterpiece is complete. Good job, AI, what the hell is wrong with you? All that was left to do was put it up on itch.io. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna wanna check these. And now I'll sit back and wait for it to become a viral sensation. Well, I was gonna make a joke here about how nobody played it, but the truth is some people actually did in the past day and I feel bad for them. So what can we learn from this experiment? Well, ChatGPT was able to stick to its vision and make a playable game. The scope of the vision did change and shrink over time, but I think that was more my doing. And it was able to prompt the other AI tools to help achieve that vision. That's pretty impressive. Of course, it had me in between the AI tools and the game engine putting everything together, but it's not hard to imagine a not so distant future where game engines have a built-in AI companion that can do that kind of stuff. In fact, it's already in beta. A future where you can just type a prompt into a box and get a functional game in return. That's pretty cool and a bit scary. And while it didn't make a great game this time, this sort of workflow is probably only going to get better from here. If for some reason you want to play Panic at the Playground, you can do so on my itch page. And thank you for watching.